with my finger here, with my nail. I want to hurt myself, yeah.
Look, I think when you look at Pep Guardiola on the side of the pitch, he is touching his head. If he's got long nails, he's scratched his head, he's scratched his nose. What we must say here as a community and to the rest of the world is that this is football.
Pep Guardiola, 38 major trophies, 3 Champions League titles, 12 league titles in 16 seasons across 3 countries, the tactical genius who revolutionized football. At Barcelona, he created the most beautiful football ever played.
When they're under more pressure from their colleagues than they have been from Arsenal then, you can understand why though. Messi, Affalai.
At Bayern, he dominated Germany. At City, he built a dynasty that seemed unstoppable. But in 2024-25, something unprecedented happened. The genius finally broke.
But I'm the boss, I'm the manager, and I'm not good enough. It's as simple as that. I have to find a way to talk to them, to the training to them, to the way you have to play, the way I have to press, the way I have to build up. And I'm not good enough. I'm not doing well. That is the truth.
I'm not good enough, he admitted after yet another defeat. For the first time in his career, Pep Guardiola lost 5 games in a row. His worst season ever had begun. This is the story of how the most successful manager of his generation experienced his most humbling season, and why it changes everything we thought we knew about Pep Guardiola. Let's start with the numbers, because the statistics from Pep's 2024-25 season are genuinely shocking. Manchester City lost 31.6% of their matches this season. To put that in perspective, Pep's career average is just 12.6%. These are numbers alien to this team under the Spaniard. By February 2025, City had already suffered 14 defeats, more losses than Pep had experienced in entire seasons before. November 2024, the unthinkable happened. Pep Guardiola lost 5 consecutive games for the first time in his managerial career. They lost 11 of 31 games, a 35.5% defeat rate that would have been unimaginable just months earlier. One former footballer didn't hold back. This is the worst team that Pep has ever managed.
This is the worst team that Pep Guardiola has ever managed, as in the quality. They are so short. This is not Manchester City.
Even Pep himself admitted it. We are weak and fragile. The man who built his reputation on tactical perfection was watching his team crumble. But here's what makes this collapse even more damning. Pep Guardiola has never had to work without massive financial backing. At Barcelona, he inherited Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta. At Bayern, he had the best squad in Germany. At City, he spent over £1 billion on players. In fact, no other manager in football has spent more on transfers than Pep's £2 billion. £2 billion. That's what it took to build Pep's perfect system. £100 million for Jack Grealish, £51 million for Nathan Ake, and £62 million for Riyad Mahrez. Every position filled with world-class talent. And when that system worked, Pep was hailed as a genius. But what happens when you remove just one piece? That's when everything fell apart. September 22nd, 2024, Rodri suffers an ACL injury against Arsenal. Game over for Manchester City's season. One player, one injury. That's all it took to expose Pep Guardiola's biggest weakness. With Rodri in the team, City were unstoppable. Without him, they became ordinary. The Athletic identified Rodri's absence as the primary reason for City's collapse. The absence of the best player in the world changed everything. But here's the damning question. What kind of legendary manager built a system so dependent on one player that it collapses without him? Pep tried everything. Different formations, different players. Nothing worked. His billion-pound squad couldn't function without their Spanish metronome. The numbers tell the story. City collected just 5 points in 2 months. 3 of those came from their sole win against Nottingham Forest. Analysts were baffled. What the hell is happening to Pep Guardiola? But the statistics only tell part of the story. What was truly shocking was watching Pep Guardiola's mental state deteriorate in real time. The composed tactical genius became erratic, frustrated, desperate. After the Manchester United defeat, he was brutally honest. "I don't have a defense. I'm the boss. I'm the manager, and I'm not good enough."
I don't have defense, so I'm the boss, I'm the manager. I have to find a solution, and I don't find the solution.
The BBC reported that Pep has not been sleeping very well during the crisis. The pressure was clearly getting to him. This wasn't just tactical failure. This was personal breakdown. The man who had conquered every league was facing his first real crisis. The 4-0 disaster defeat ended a 52-match unbeaten streak at home. Pep looked broken. And this is where the Pep versus Ferguson debate gets interesting. Because while Pep was having his worst season ever, let's remember what Ferguson achieved. Ferguson won 13 Premier League titles with different squads, different players, different systems. He adapted constantly. The 1999 treble winners looked nothing like 2008 Champions League winners, who looked nothing like the 2013 title winners. Ferguson rebuilt his team multiple times. Pep, he's never had to. When Ferguson lost key players, he found solutions. When Pep lost Rodri, his system collapsed. The difference is clear. Ferguson was a manager who adapted his system to his players. Pep is a manager who needs perfect players for his system. And that brings us to the most damning argument against Pep Guardiola. He has never proven he can win with a suboptimal team. At Barcelona, he had the greatest generation of players ever assembled. Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets. Generational talent. At Bayern, he inherited by far the most expensive team in Germany, World Cup winners. At City, he's had unlimited resources, one of the most expensive squads ever assembled. But what happens when conditions are imperfect? When he doesn't have the best players in every position? The 2024-25 season gave us the answer. Without Rodri, without perfect conditions, Pep's genius disappeared.
Without the best player in England last season, of course it's difficult.
Meanwhile, managers like Klopp, Ancelotti, and Ferguson have all won major trophies with imperfect squads. They adapted, they improvised, they found ways to win. Pep, he needs everything to be perfect, and when it's not, he breaks. What made the collapse even more revealing was that Pep tried everything, and nothing worked. This wasn't tactical stubbornness. Pep is actually famous for his tactical flexibility. He tried different formations, different personnel, different approaches. He admitted City's ways must change and actually tried to implement changes. The problem wasn't that Pep was stubborn. The problem was that his system is so complex, so dependent on specific player profiles, that it can't function when key pieces are missing. Pep tried 15 different starting lineups during the crisis. He experimented with false nines, different midfield pivots, various defensive partnerships, but none of it worked because the system itself was broken without Rodri's unique skill set. This wasn't about tactical inflexibility. This was about a system so sophisticated that it requires perfect components to function. Remove one crucial piece, and the entire machine breaks down. Let's relive some of the most painful moments of Pep's worst season. The 2-0 defeats to Liverpool, home and away. City looked clueless, outplayed, outfought. The derby defeat to United, conceding 2 late goals to the worst United team ever. The ultimate humiliation, losing to their biggest rivals when they needed points most. Brighton, a team that cost a fraction of City's squad, outplaying Pep's billion-pound team. 4 consecutive defeats, something that had never happened to Pep Guardiola before.
You are the boys, guys! You are the teenagers! I say something when they're pointing at Tottenham and Liverpool. I say something. Damn it! I blame you!
ESPN called it a team in crisis, and they were right. Above anything else, the social media reaction was brutal. #PepOut started trending. Memes flooded Twitter. Even City fans began questioning their manager for the first time. So the question remains, can Pep Guardiola recover from his worst season ever? The signs are mixed. City have shown glimpses of their old form, but the fundamental problems remain. Rodri is still recovering. The squad is aging. The system has been exposed. And Pep's contract expires in 2026. Will he stay to rebuild? Or will this season mark the end of an era? History shows us that great managers can recover from terrible seasons. Ferguson had bad years. Ancelotti was sacked by Bayern. Klopp had his struggles. But they all proved their greatness by adapting, by learning, by coming back stronger. The question is, can Pep do the same? Well, our prediction is Pep Guardiola will recover, but he'll never be the same. This season has humbled him, exposed his limitations, shown that he's not infallible. He'll rebuild City. He'll spend more money. He'll probably win more trophies. But the aura is gone. The myth of tactical perfection has been shattered. And in the debate about football's greatest manager, this season will always be remembered. The season when Pep Guardiola's genius finally met its match. Not against a tactical mastermind, not against a superior team, against adversity itself. So what do you think? Can Pep Guardiola recover from his worst season ever? Or has this exposed him as a manager who can only succeed with perfect conditions? Smash that like button if you think this changes everything about Pep's legacy. Subscribe for more deep dives into football's biggest stories. Comment below with your prediction. Will Pep bounce back stronger? Or is this the beginning of the end for his dominance? I want to hear your honest thoughts. And if you enjoyed this analysis, check out our video on Bruno Fernandes's paradox. The story about a world-class player caught between being the team's savior and their biggest problem. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.